As he slowly opened his eyes, a flood of memories from his past washed over him, a stark contrast to his current disoriented state. He found himself sprawled on the rooftop, his head throbbing with pain, and an unsettling, putrid stench filling the air. He wondered aloud where he was and how he had ended up on the roof. Glancing down, he noticed a crowd of people below, and a chilling realization dawned on him. What the heck are these? Zombies? He exclaimed, horrified, as the people downstairs indeed appeared to have transformed into the undead. He shouted, questioning what was happening, recalling that he had been in the normal world just moments ago. Frantically, he searched for his phone, desperate to go online and understand the sudden apocalypse. His hand met only a peanut packet in his pocket. He remembered buying the bag of peanuts at the supermarket earlier and realized that was all he had left. A morbid thought crossed his mind. He was as good as dead after finishing this bag, and then he could finally rest in peace. A fleeting wish for a girlfriend before his demise drifted through his thoughts. Just then, the door behind him creaked open, and a girl in shorts and a t-shirt entered. He peeped, his heart pounding, and instantly thought, crap, the zombie's already up here. I'm dead, so dead. However, his fear turned to bewildered fascination as the girl stabbed a dagger into a water tank, and water gushed out, drenching her. She then proceeded to wash herself. He found the situation ridiculous, a zombie being so sexy. He sighed, mesmerized by her beauty, realizing she was a living human. He accidentally made a sound, and the girl's head snapped towards him. She ran towards him, and he meekly said, "Hello." His greeting was met with a swift slap. The girl pointed a gun at his forehead and demanded he spill it. He pleaded with her, begging her to spare him and not to kill him. She asked who he was. He mumbled his name, his eyes inadvertently drawn to her thighs, thinking to himself that this angle was so good. Suddenly, from behind the zipper of his pants, a voice, that of his sentient chicken, declared that enemies were attacking outside. The chickens seemed dismayed, stating there was no way they were retreating, given the powerful opponents they were facing, and immediately initiated combat preparation. The girl, her face contorted in anger, suddenly lunged forward, striking Shuyong with something. She declared her intent to kill him. He pleaded with her to put it back. Just then, a zombie materialized behind them, poised to attack the girl. She swiftly dodged its lunge, but the zombie, unfazed, relentlessly attacked Shuyong, repeatedly striking him in the groin. He cried out, asking what was wrong with it and why it kept hitting his junk. A dagger suddenly appeared, piercing the goblin-like zombie's eye. The creature roared in pain. It was the girl, who then became the target of the goblin's enraged attacks. She thought that the military zombie's skull was too thick for bullets to penetrate, but now that she had injured its eyes, it could only swing blindly. She observed that the space on the rooftop was tight, with few places to hide, and if they continued fighting, they might attract more zombies. She noted the zombie's enormous upper body and injured leg, which explained its snail-like pace. She then pulled another saw from her wrist just as the zombie prepared to attack her. Shuyong shouted, "Watch out!" She dodged the attack, slicing off one of the zombie's arms. As the zombie attempted to turn, she swiftly beheaded it. She remarked that this batch of zombie cores looked pretty good. Shuyong was terrified. The girl, looking at her dirty clothes, grumbled that she had just cleaned herself and was dirty again. She then turned to Shuyong, questioning his softness and asking which faction he was from. She repeated her question, but Shuyong, still in a state of disbelief, thought this was all insane, a mere product of the horror movies he had been watching. He tried to convince himself that if he just got a good night's sleep, he would wake up. He then reached for his peanuts, noting that the peanut flavor in this dream was quite strong. Suddenly, the girl snatched the packet of peanuts from him, demanding to know who he was and how he possessed such a precious elixir of life. Shuyong meekly asked if she liked peanuts. She firmly reiterated her questions, asking which faction he was from and why he had such precious food. She then pressed the waist saw against his neck, leaving a scar. He realized it was real. He pleaded with her, begging her to spare him. He introduced himself as Shuyong, just an ordinary handsome guy, explaining that peanuts were his go-to snack that he always carried with him, and he had gotten them at the Damatsi supermarket. Just then an attack broke out, and the girl was shot in the leg. Shuyong asked if she was okay, stating she had been shot. She thought she didn't know why the mutated zombies were after her, but it felt like someone was behind it all. On another building, a sniper scoffed, stating that this chick had skills and advising his companion to just leave the zombies to her and let her take care of them. The other boy with the sniper praised his boss, calling him a genius for scoring the zombie core without breaking a sweat. However, he expressed concern that she had only been hit in the leg, wondering what if she came after them with her skills. The sniper reassured him not to worry, as the first shot he fired had a corpse toxin bullet, and it wouldn't take long to drain her life away. Shuyong saw the girl's leg, now swelling ridiculously. The girl confirmed it was poisoned with corpse toxin, stating that despite her military record and experience with the zombie virus, this new type of virus from corpse toxin was much more severe. She believed there was no way she was getting out of this alive. She identified their attackers as being from the 17th faction, who were after the zombie core from the one she had just taken down. She warned Shuyong that if they got caught, they would be dead meat. Shuyong asked what they should do now. She replied that she could hold them off while he escaped. Shuyong asked about her. She explained that she had been infected with corpse toxin, and only penicillin could cure it. She couldn't run anymore, and it wouldn't be long before she turned into a zombie, and then Shuyong would be next. She offered to help him escape, but in return he would owe her one. He had to tell her sister to flee for her life without her, as she would be at the mercy of those scoundrels from the 17th faction. Shuyong questioned if penicillin was truly all it took to detoxify. She affirmed it, then asked what he meant by just penicillin, explaining how difficult it was to obtain penicillin as it was extremely rare. Shuyong muttered, "The rarest." Just then, she said she would fire a shot later to distract them. She instructed him to go to the rooftop where there was a door, and when there was a lot of smoke, she would throw smoke bombs. She then gave him a note, explaining it was where her sister was, reminding him he must tell her. Now's the time, hurry up and go, she urged. Shuyong ran. Shuyong found himself torn, reflecting on how the girl had just saved him. He wondered how he could simply abandon her. He thought about penicillin and his own world, considering that penicillin there can be acquired easily. He desperately wanted to return. Just then, a system materialized before him, announcing, "The primordial emperor system is online, initiating dimensional shift to the Gulf." Shuyong questioned what a dimensional shift was, asking if it was a way to return to his world. The girl, still by his side, urged him, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go." Shuyong then inquired if he could return again after leaving. The system replied with a simple yes. Shuyong declared he wanted to go back immediately. He then woke up in a hospital bed. Moments later, inside the hospital, a doctor was asking an old man about his legs. The old man replied they were much better. Just then, Shuyong came running, frantically shouting, "Penicillin! Where's the penicillin?" Meanwhile, the girl, heavily infected, was slumped on the floor, on the verge of death. She thought of Shuyong, silently urging, "That pretty boy, you must tell my sister." On the other end, the men with the sniper observed that the gunfire had stopped and she couldn't pull on anymore. Their boss instructed them, "Let's go, brothers. It's time to collect our spoils." Just then, a nurse admonished Shuyong for running in the hallway. He spotted the penicillin, snatched it, and shouted, "Dimensional shift." He instantly found himself back in the dilapidated world. Shuyong then addressed the girl, stating, "Not dead, huh? Good, not dead." She stared at him, asking if he was crazy and why he had come back. He presented her with the penicillin, saying he had bought it. She asked in disbelief how he had penicillin. Shuyong simply replied that he had just gone to get penicillin and told her not to ask too much. He assured her it was genuine penicillin and that she wasn't going to die, they were going to get out of there alive together. He urged her to eat it and handed her the capsule. She swallowed it. Shuyong asked how she was feeling, if it was any better. She replied that the swelling had gone down and the toxins had faded away, remarking, "Unbelievable. It's already suppressing the toxins. What kind of penicillin is that?" Suddenly, she heard a door knock and warned, "Someone's coming. Hide quickly." She pushed Shuyong through a hole in the roof, onto a bed below. He landed with a groan, complaining, "My poor back." "A bed? That's insane, man. You know a man's back is the most crucial part, right?" Just then, the door opened, and the sniper and his companions entered. The sniper instructed his men to find the girl, suggesting they might have some fun with her while she was still alive. The girl, however, defiantly stated, "Looking for me, huh? I was gonna look for you guys too. Didn't expect you to come to me." The gang members stared in disbelief, questioning how she was still alive, and then turned and ran for their lives. Shur-young, on the floor below, thought that he didn't need to worry about her anymore. Just then he noticed a diary. He scoffed, wondering, what's this crap, a diary for adults? Seriously, who keeps a diary? He picked it up and opened it, commenting on its bizarre content, concluding that the person who wrote it was clearly not normal. The diary entry for July 21st, 208, a sunny day, described a perfect day with a curly lady across the house doing her laundry as usual, providing his daily fix of the duty, her figure simply nice. On July 22nd, a new manager took a seat nearby. He guessed she was super into fitness, and her boot was simply irresistible, making him consider moving on from the curly lady. Lately, there had been rumors about an R-virus outbreak in the neighboring province, and he hoped it wouldn't spread to their area. He claimed that looking at Manager Bay's boot, he wasn't scared anymore. But just after that entry, the manager was infected by the virus too, and she reached the boy. The company was quarantined, and he was confined to his allotted room, not allowed to leave. By July 24th, the R-virus had affected most of the city's population. They were down to their last pack of food from the community. He had tried calling for help, but nobody was responding. He feared if he didn't escape, he might starve to death. On July 25th, he reached his limit and decided to break the lock and go out. He needed to find some food himself. In the supermarket, the pharmacy, and everywhere else, people were madly smashing each other for supplies, with no one thinking about anyone else. On August 3rd, a rainy day, the TV signal cut off. 2 days prior, in its final broadcast, the anchor had warned them that rescue might not arrive, urging them to save themselves and uttering some absurdity about humanity's indestructibility, which he found laughable. By August 17th, all the food was gone. Now, if he left the room, he'd probably get bitten to death by a swarm of infected. He wondered how painful that would be. These days, he had been surviving on tap water alone and wondered how long he could last, lamenting that he really missed Manager Bay's big butt. Just then, he heard a shout. A lady screamed not to come any closer and asked what he wanted to do. He realized it was the lady from across the house, and he thought that yelling like that would draw the infected over. When he saw what was going on, the lady was being stabbed by her own husband. He questioned what the person was doing, and then saw that the husband was eating his own wife. He vomited. August 19th. 4 days without food, and he was starving to death. Almost as he was losing hope, someone knocked on his door and asked for penicillin. The man exchanged a lot of food for his penicillin. He found it surprising that penicillin worked while other antibiotics were useless. He owed his life to the day he grabbed that medicine. On August 21st, he witnessed someone eating a dead zombie from the balcony. He found it hard to fathom how anyone could stomach it and wondered if that thing could really be eaten. It was a zombie core. On August 30th, he got robbed, and all the penicillin he had stashed away in the cabinet was gone. He cursed the damn monsters, acknowledging it was his only hope for survival. On September 1st, he left his prison-like house. Even if the outside world was full of infected, he didn't want to starve like a fool in his own room anymore. While he still had strength, maybe he would get lucky and find some food, or else he might just do what that guy did the other day. He held a knife and declared, "Bring it on. Today, it's either you eat me or I eat you." Shur-young thought, so he never came back. Did he actually die? He put the diary aside for now, concluding that it had given him a rough idea of what was happening in this world. People infected with the virus turned into flesh-eating zombies. Judging from the current food shortages and city paralysis, he estimated that most people had already been infected. There was another important point: penicillin. He had a few, no, many, in his pocket. He realized that in this world, penicillin was more precious than gold, but while many people desperately sought it, he could easily buy it in his world, which meant he had struck gold. Just then, the sniper boy entered the room, exclaiming that Shur-young actually had a box of penicillin and no wonder that girl was still alive. He then took the full bottle of penicillin and declared that if he brought this bottle to his organization, they would surely promote him 3 ranks. He then suggested Shur-young might as well drop dead too. Shur-young quickly said, "Wait, I have more." The girl entered the room and told them not to shoot. The sniper warned her to stay back, otherwise, he would kill Shur-young. She retaliated, threatening to blow his head off in a second if he dared to shoot. She then urged them to let him go, promising to spare her alive. He cautiously listened to the sounds outside and noted that the recent fight had already attracted a large group of zombies. He advised his companions to let Shur-young go, as they still had a chance to escape, stating they would be dead if they waited any longer. She then further stated that this should be far enough and told him to let Shuyong go. He, angry, declared, "Yun, you have killed so many of my bros. We are going to pay the price for this." He then punched Shuyong, who landed straight onto her. The boy with a web shooter type of thing added, "Yun, learn. Next time we meet, I'll make sure to chop you up into zombie food as an offering to my brothers." On the other hand, Shuyong was quietly sleeping on her breast. She sighed, asking him seriously how long he planned on keeping this up. A vast swarm of zombies crowded the area downstairs. The girl declared they should be out of the zombie-infested zone by now and suggested they rest a bit before heading out again. Seizing the opportunity, she told Shuyong she had some questions for him, asking who exactly he was and why he possessed items like peanuts and penicillin that ordinary people wouldn't have. Shuyong thought that while Yun, the girl, might appear formidable in this apocalypse, it was always wise to keep something reserved. He decided that if he told her the truth, anything could happen, so it would be better to find an excuse and bluff his way through for now. He subtly slid a bottle of penicillin towards her and said, "Here." She saw it and, recognizing it as penicillin, exclaimed, "This box is a gift for you. Consider it a payment for saving me just now. If you agree to stay by my side and protect me, there will be plenty of benefits for you. What do you say? Shall we make a deal?" Shuyong asked if she was serious. She nodded, and he told her not to be shy and to just take it, adding that it wasn't just penicillin, he could get her even more desirable things. She questioned what even more desirable things meant. Shuyong then listed an array of delicacies: steamed lamb, steamed beef, power-steamed deer tails, roasted duck, roasted spice chicken, roasted marinated sea duck, soy sauce chicken, beef jerky, ample tripe, dried meat sausages, assorted vegetable platter, everything. She cut him off, saying, "Stop. I won't just agree to protect you for these things. I don't want to protect someone who might be from an enemy faction." Shuyong reassured her not to worry about that, stating he didn't belong to any faction. He suggested she could think of him as a pretty boy living in luxury from some utopian land. She thought that his tender skin indeed made him look like a pampered young master. She acknowledged she owed her survival to the penicillin he gave her and, despite her reluctance, admitted he was slowly becoming her lifesaver. She then agreed to the deal, stating, "So you are Shuyong, right? From now on I'll stick with you and keep you safe. But if I find out you lied to me, I'll kill you." Shuyong cheerfully replied that she could call him Brother Shuyong too, declaring that her luck had arrived. He then asked if he could ask her some questions, to which she agreed. Shuyong wanted to know about the apocalypse. She explained that the R virus, carried by zombie cores, sparked the apocalypse, infecting 80% of humans and causing a catastrophic drop in the global population from 9 billion to 1.5 billion, leaving only zombies in their wake. She described zombie cores as having both plant and mineral characteristics, and they could be ingested directly by living beings, used to make evolutionary potions, or stored as energy. Direct consumption led to short-term energy and nutritional supplements. Evolutionary potions came in 3 grades, 1, 2, and 3. When used as an energy source, zombie cores could be utilized individually or arranged in multiples of 1, 3, or 9 to form an energy array that fully unleash their potential. In the apocalypse, zombie cores were still used as common currency to trade different things. She continued, explaining that the newly mutated R virus could quickly adapt and resist modern antibiotics. This meant that high-tech genetic antibiotics were no longer working well, but all penicillin-based antibiotics were still effective. Because of mutations in penicillin and other microbes used to make penicillin, the conditions for producing it had become rarer, hence penicillin was now an extremely valuable drug in today's world. After the world ended, people found a network of groups that were similar to ancient tribes. These groups were connected to larger regional organizations and then linked to even bigger ones. They were currently in Qingzhou, which had 3 small organizations, 17th Earth Construction and Flambeers. The group they encountered earlier belonged to the 17th faction. She described them as violent criminals, committing murder, arson, and looting without any limits. They craved resources and women, enjoyed killing, and even used human flesh as food. They were part of a larger organization based in Yuzu. Shuyong acknowledged that he understood now. She concluded that this area was swarming with zombies, and having Shuyong as a drag meant they couldn't make it back to base today. She suggested they find a place to rest for the night. Shuyong agreed. She then told him to go to sleep as she would keep watch. Shuyong thought that just by looking at her face, it was hard to imagine she was such a formidable survivor. Shuyong then mentally instructed the Empress system to travel back to the 21st century, and the dimensional shift began. But when he woke up, he felt an immense heaviness. A girl in front of him asked if he was awake. He managed to utter a plea for her to get off, to which she playfully responded that he should be gentle. He then recognized her as his landlord, and asked what she was doing there. She explained that he had been knocked out by a crazy guy who had jumped off the building, but the doctors assured her he would be fine. She felt lucky that she had set herself as his emergency contact. Otherwise, no one would have paid his hospital bill. Shuyong asked where she had set that up. She then shifted the conversation, asking if he was hungry and offering to feed him. He responded, "Feed me?" She clarified that she meant she would make him some noodles, teasing him that he was a handful, and that since he didn't have any essentials, she would go downstairs and buy some for him. She asked if he needed anything, and he confirmed. She then told him to write her a list. With landlord gone, Shuyong decided to take a closer look at the primordial emperor system. He observed that merely thinking the words primordial emperor system made the interface appear before him, and it was pretty straightforward. He saw options for dimensional shift, power-up, and storage. He wondered how to activate the power-up function and saw that it needed a charge. Just then his landlord, Luoshi, returned, complaining that she was dead tired. Shuyong offered to take the items from her, but she told him not to move, reminding him he was a patient. Shuyong recognized Luoshi as a rich heiress. He thought that even if he were blind, he could tell she had a thing for him, but he was penniless and couldn't bring her happiness, so he had never responded to her feelings. He then considered that if he had the emperor system, being able to travel between two worlds, he could definitely make a huge profit with money, and perhaps then she and he. Just then, the door of the hospital room opened. Luoshi's uncle, Uncle Zhao, entered. Luoshi asked what he was doing there, reminding him she had told him where she was. Uncle Zhao replied that her father had sent him to take her to Yohuan for dinner. Luoshi refused, stating she was busy. Uncle Zhao insisted she must go, calling it an absolute order from her father. Luoshi again refused, saying, "Oh no, Uncle Zhao, don't push me." Uncle Zhao then told Shuyong to wait for him downstairs first. Shuyong asked what he was up to. Uncle Zhao dismissed the question, telling him to just head down first. Luoshi's uncle then spoke to Shuyong, asking if they hadn't already made everything clear before. He questioned why Shuyong was still clinging on to Luoshi, or if the money he had given him before wasn't enough. He advised Shuyong to be honest if he needed more, and not to return it and pretend to be above it. He then emphasized the difference between Shuyong and Luoshi, stating that her father would never allow them to be together. Shuyong interjected, "But if I become very rich?" The man cut him off, stating he knew that every dog has its day, but from what he had seen of Shuyong so far in his lifetime, he would probably never amount to anything. Just then, in the apocalypse world, the girl, Yun, said, "Hey, wake up." Shuyong woke up. She declared it was daybreak and time for them to set off, estimating it would take them about an hour to reach the base. They were running through an alley, and Shuyong was tired. She then announced they had arrived and threw a stone at the wall, which opened a hidden door. She stated, "This is our way." Shuyong commented that it was really well hidden, and that no one would know there was a space there from the outside. She urged him to hurry, and they reached her sister. Yun exclaimed, "Rue, look, I have brought back the penicillin." Her sister, too, was infected with a virus. Yun instructed her sister to take the medicine, assuring her she would get better soon. Shuyong asked if the girl was her sister and what had happened to her. Yun explained that a zombie had scratched her sister. She herself had gone out yesterday to hunt mutant zombies, hoping to use their zombie cores to create penicillin, but she ended up getting ambushed by people from Faction 17 instead. Her sister, concerned, asked if Yun was hurt from the ambush. Yun reassured her she was fine and mentioned she had a friend with her, the one who had provided the penicillin, without whom she wouldn't have made it back yesterday. Her sister expressed deep gratitude to Shuyong, stating he had saved their lives. Shuyong dismissed their thanks, thinking that for two girls to survive in such an environment was already a miracle. Yun then prepared some food for Shuyong and offered it to him. He expressed his relief, saying he had been running around all day and was starving. However, after taking the first bite, he immediately vomited. Yun asked if it was that bad, remarking that it wasn't so bad when she ate it. Shuyong questioned if they usually ate this. She asked why he was praying and if it was truly that bad. He denied it, saying he just felt sorry for them. He then told them to stop eating that trash and to wait a moment. Yun questioned why he wouldn't eat it, explaining she had gone through so much trouble to collect it from the sewers. Shuyong then took something out of his pocket and suggested they go with this one, opening the package. He placed a small food item into Yun's mouth. She flinched for a second but was then utterly amazed by the taste. She exclaimed, "This rich, milky aroma, this refreshing sweetness." Shuyong asked if she was okay, wondering why she wasn't moving, and confirmed he had fed her a white rabbit creamy candy, right? She responded with an enthusiastic, "Yummy." She then asked if he had more, opening her mouth and reaching for his hand. As he got near her, she grabbed his entire fingers along with the candy. Shuyong exclaimed that his hand was still in there, but she didn't stop, taking every bite off his fingers. She declared, "That's delicious. Can I have another one?" Shuyong gave her several more, and she took those candies to her sister, urging her to try this. Her sister also found it incredibly tasty, asking what it was. Yun explained it was a white rabbit cream candy that Shuyong had just given her and that it was very tasty. Her sister expressed profound gratitude for being alive. Yun told her to eat slowly as there was still a lot left. Shuyong, visibly moved and saddened by their hardship, then took out various food items from the 21st century for them, saying, "Here, take it all. All the food is for you guys." Yun recognized one item as a snack she had seen in a book. She asked if all of this was for them. Shuyong confirmed it was all for them to eat and reassured them he still had plenty more. Yun then gave him a bag filled with something, saying, "Here." Shuyong asked what it was. She explained it was all the zombie cores she had collected, and they were all his. Shuyong mused that as soon as a zombie core got close, the mark on his left hand began to burn, wondering if there was a connection between them. He then accepted the zombie cores Yun had offered. He questioned her generosity, asking if she was sure she wanted to give them all to him, considering how precious they seemed based on what she had said. Yun replied that the penicillin he gave her had saved both her and her sister's lives, and his food and supplies were supposed to be worth far more zombie cores, but for now, she had only gathered these. She promised to pay him back the rest later. Shuyong then exclaimed, "Oh no, do you guys have a restroom? I need to go there." Yun directed him to the restroom, which was just around that corner. Shuyong confirmed, "Okay, I'll be right back." He entered the washroom and observed it was a squat toilet. He remarked on its ancient appearance and the faking deep hole, but decided to deal with it first. As he sat there, he thought, well, there's no one around. I might as well study what a zombie core really is. He took out one of the cores, and as he held it, he said, "As suspected, there's a connection. My arm is heating up again." The zombie core was absorbed, and the system pop-up appeared. Power-up successful. Dimensional shift increased by 2. Total dimensional shift, 3. Shuyong realized, so, power-up is used for dimensional shifting, huh? He decided to add a few more, and after several more power-ups, 23 of the zombie cores rolled down the toilet. He now had a total of 9 dimensional shifts. Shuyong thought 9 should be enough and decided to keep the remaining zombie cores for now. Just then, he looked at the bag and shouted, "Where's my zombie core? I clearly had a whole bag just now. How come there are only 2 left?" He then looked at the toilet and, a dawning realization on his face, muttered, "Could it be?" Shuyong emerged from the washroom looking like a wandering soul. Yun asked what was wrong with him and why he had that face. Shuyong mumbled that it was nothing, just a bit constipated. Some time later, Yun announced it was time to eat. Shuyong questioned why she was eating this again, reminding her he had given them plenty of food already. She explained that she couldn't eat all of such precious stuff at once, and besides, she had collected this from the sewers with great effort, and it would be a waste not to eat it. Shuyong reassured her not to worry, as there was more food. She seemed confused, recalling that he had given all the food to them. Shuyong thought that she didn't know he had a storage space in the system, and it would be too strange if he took out more food now. He realized the food he currently had wasn't enough for the 3 of them for a few days and that he needed to go back and get more. Yun then revealed that she was a merchant and that every few days, someone came to deliver goods to her, and there was food there. Shuyong was surprised, asking why she hadn't told him before. She admitted that she hadn't fully trusted him yet. Shuyong then stated he had to go out tomorrow to get some goods and would bring back more food. He further reiterated that he was off to pick up the goods. Yun told him to wait and handed him a small handgun. Shuyong commented on how small the gun was. She explained that it wasn't about the size of the gun, but its power, calling it a deadly assassin's weapon. She insisted he better take it with him, just in case. She then asked if he was going alone and if he needed her to come with him. He declined, assuring her he would be fine and to wait for him to get back. He then closed the door. Just then her sister, Rua, woke up and called out to Yun. Yun asked Rua if she could walk now. Rua confirmed, stating that the medicine Shuyong had given her truly worked well. Yun expressed her delight and then instructed Rua to secretly follow Shuyong and see where he went. Rua asked why. Yun explained that Shuyong's appearance and actions were out of place there. It seemed he wasn't familiar with the rules around the earth, and the merchant and entity he claimed were probably just made-up excuses. Although he had been very generous to them, she concluded it was too early to trust him. Shuyong felt he had put enough distance between them, confident that Ruo shouldn't be following him anymore. He activated the dimensional shift and returned to the hospital. Upon waking, he immediately thought he should get out of there. He couldn't afford to keep racking up hospital bills, especially since he was penniless. He exited the hospital and saw a car. He reflected on his situation, admitting he hadn't found a job for months and his savings were almost gone. He had once believed he would get rich, but it seemed he was still a broke loser. Nevertheless, he resolved to start by collecting some supplies that were hard to come by in the apocalypse. He acknowledged that food and medicine were more precious than gold in that world, but he had no channels to sell them. He knew that if he approached Faction 17, those vicious brutes would undoubtedly rob him of his goods and then kill him. Just then, Shuyong proceeded to buy a large amount of food, asking the cashier for the bill. He thought that Yun was incredibly skilled, but she was outgunned, meaning she could only protect him from the zombies at best. The cashier scanned all the food items and informed him that his total was 1054 yuan. Shuyong paid for all the goods. He thought these items should fit in the system's storage space. He decided to pack some extra clothes as well, calculating that since each dimensional shift used half a zombie core power, he should minimize the shifts. He found it infuriating that he had to be so frugal, silently cursing the damp toilet. Shuyong was very tired. The scene shifted back to the girl, Ruo, in the zombie apocalypse. She was looking around and remarked how strange it was that Shuyong had disappeared in a blink of an eye. She questioned if her tracking skill was really that bad. She then decided that this location offered a great view and she would just stay there, convinced he wouldn't show up. Just then, Shuyong returned with a lot of packages. He muttered to himself that they should just carry everything back so no one would be suspicious. He then exclaimed that he hadn't seen any zombies there last time and that the place was sealed off. He decided they needed to find another way to go around. He wondered what the heck was going on and why there were so many more zombies here. He shouted for Yun to come save me quick. He realized he couldn't get through the horde and might even have to shift. But just then, a zombie appeared from behind him, lunging towards Shuyong. The packets he had bought fell off, some of them spilling their contents. He was now clutching onto a rope, with zombies falling below. Shuyong shouted, "Dimensional shift," but his passive skill, quick climb, activated instead. Shuyong thought he couldn't hold on and needed to dimensional shift now. However, the panel informed him he had 7 skill points and that activating a passive skill cost 1 point, with each upgrade costing double the last. Shuyong thought, what kind of system is this? Upgrade now. The passive skill Quick Climb was upgraded twice, consuming 3 skill points. After the activation, he felt awesome. He was now effortlessly hanging by his old body weight with items on his back, using just one hand. He exclaimed how awesome it was, noting he could now easily hold onto the wire with just one hand, calling it incredible. He then stood on top of the wire and declared he could even walk on the wire, like walking on the ground, cool, just like Spider-Man. He proceeded to perform several Spider-Man moves on the wire. Rua, standing on the rooftop, observed Shuyong's acrobatic display. She thought she had believed Shuyong was just a fragile, ordinary person, but who knew his climbing skills were so strong? She realized Yun had been right. This guy was no ordinary person. Shuyong landed safely on the floor, observing that the original path was blocked by zombies. He concluded he needed to get to a higher vantage point to survey the terrain and find another way back to base. He spotted a building ahead, noting it seemed to offer a good view. As he began climbing the building, he remarked that scaling the wall was a total breeze, wondering if there were more skills to unlock in the system and feeling excited. Just as he was climbing, he noticed a large number of zombies inside the building through a window. He muttered that these zombies looked gross up close. Taunting them, he yelled, "Want some fresh meat? Come on, you stinkin' zombies, catch me if you can." The glass suddenly shattered, and he fell into the swarm of zombies, instinctively killing one with his bare hand. The zombie's neck was severed. Shuyong, terrified, exclaimed, "What is this? Has my grip strength become so strong that I can snap a zombie's neck directly?" Another zombie lunged at him. He quickly killed it and then, seeing zombies everywhere, and realizing his trusty iron arm couldn't handle this many, he decided it was better to deal with them later. He jumped out of the room and grabbed onto another window's glass. Zombies tumbled out behind him. He sighed in relief, commenting, "That was close. Just a scratch and that would be the end of me in this dangerous world. You can't afford to be too showy." He then noticed he felt a lot lighter than before and wondered what was happening. He looked behind him and saw his bag was gone. He shouted, "Where's my bag?" It had fallen amidst the zombies. Shuyong exclaimed, "How could this happen? I made it all the way up for nothing, and now I even lost my supplies." He gritted his teeth, lamenting that he had blew his remaining cash on that stuff, adding, "No way. That's my startup capital for getting rich. I must get that back." He courageously returned to the zombies, addressing them, "Hey buddies, I am back. Fancy some soft, tender little human hands?" He extended his hand, and all the zombies started falling towards it, tumbling down because zombies couldn't think logically. Shuyong encouraged them, right, just like that. No rush, one at a time, everyone. The zombies continued falling down one by one. Shuyong, observing the silence, noted that they had all been knocked down and that there were so many of them, making his arms sore from hitting them. He spotted his bag and confidently declared, "These zombies are a piece of cake. Just a tiny trick and they're redone for." Just then, he saw something behind him. He wondered if he had just seen a red shadow or something, or if he was simply imagining things. Suddenly, a very large zombie appeared in front of him and attacked Shuyong. As the zombie lunged, Shuyong frantically slammed out of the door, only to be thrown back against a wall, wincing in pain. He tried to run, but the goblin-like creature in front of him was incredibly fast. Shuyong was shocked, thinking this zombie was unexpectedly agile and that he hadn't even seen it coming. He considered momentarily returning to the modern world to avoid danger, but quickly realized he would reappear in the same spot upon shifting back, which would be a waste of his skill points. Damn, no time, he thought. He had no choice but to go all in. He activated the system and commanded it to use all stored zombie cores and skill points for an upgrade. His quick climb skill immediately upgraded to level 6, and he unlocked 2 new skills, fearless focus and steady footing. He turned back to the zombie, now able to see its movements clearly. He thought he had its current moves down and could dodge its attacks just in time. He ran, the zombie close behind him. He realized it was still clinging to him, unable to shake it off even after using all his skill points. He cursed, thinking he was only just keeping pace with it. He had expected to suppress it by going all out. With such high-speed movement, his stamina was depleting fast. He knew he wouldn't last much longer. If he slowed down for even a second, it would catch up and snap his neck. Just then he reached a dead end, a concrete wall. But Shuyong grabbed a log of wood lying nearby and pierced it straight through the goblin's shoulder, all the way to its spine, getting it through the zombie's body. He relaxed for a moment, but then the goblins started moving again. Shuyong exclaimed, "Damn it! Not dead yet. What the heck is this thing?" Finally, he managed to kill the zombie and extracted the zombie core from its body. Tired, he mumbled that he had managed to salvage something after all. Just as he emerged, Ruah saw him and thought that he had actually managed to escape. She concluded that Shuyong's combat abilities seemed to be on par with hers. Shuyong reached the bunker and announced his return, inviting them to come and see what cool stuff I bought. "I'll blow your minds." Yun's younger sister came out and joyfully exclaimed, "Brother Shuyong, you back." Shuyong asked who she was. She identified herself, asking if he couldn't recognize her without bandages and why he was covered in blood. She asked if he was all right. He reassured her he was fine, explaining it was all zombie blood. She pressed him, telling him he better not be lying and to let her check on him. Shuyong confidently invited her to check him out as much as she liked, feeling amazing. She indeed found no wounds. She then observed that he was covered in dirt and urged him to get cleaned up quickly, offering to bath with him. Shuyong was taken aback, asking what she meant by, "You and me bath together." She confirmed it, already taking off her clothes, and explained that they needed to save water since it was in short supply. Inside the bathroom, Ruah urged Shuyong to hurry up and undress, questioning why he was taking so long to come in. Shuyong expressed concern, asking if her older sister would kill him if she found out. Ruo dismissed his worry, stating her sister wouldn't get mad and they usually bathe together anyway. She told him to stop delaying and just come in. Shiyong, internally conflicted, thought, is this how it should be? Then I shall respectfully comply. I'm coming in. He turned to enter, but just then Yun, her elder sister, arrived and grabbed Shiyong by the ear, demanding he stop right there. She accused him of seeing her sister's naked body. Shiyong quickly denied it, claiming that since childhood he had had extremely bad eyesight, like 8,000 degrees of nearsightedness, so bad he wouldn't even recognize his uncle if he stood centimeters in front of him. He then came out of the bathroom, changing the subject, and proudly declared, "Look what cool stuff I bought back. We got enough stuff here to last for days." He added that for a balanced diet, he had also brought some fruit. Yun saw the bananas and seemed surprised. Shiyong offered them to her, telling her not to be shy and to go ahead and eat. He then playfully smacked a banana into her mouth. She licked the banana, then ate it, exclaiming how sweet and delicious it was. She then looked at Shiyong, noticing his expression, and asked what was wrong. He quietly replied that he needed to savor it a bit more. Her sister, Ruo, remarked that there was so much food, it was like a dream. Yun asked Shiyong if he was giving all the food to them, acknowledging that these were all very, very precious supplies. Shiyong confirmed he was aware of that but stated he had given his word that if they guaranteed his safety, he wouldn't let them down. Yun thought to herself, yes, no matter what, I should keep my promise. However, she also remembered that when Shiyong was in danger earlier, she had just hidden in the shadows and hadn't helped him. Shiyong then confessed that his savings could only afford this much supplies one more time, indicating he needed to figure out a way to make money fast. He also internally reminded himself that he still needed a zombie core for his dimensional shift points and that he was out of skill points. Yun questioned the usefulness of money, stating it was practically worthless, just like scrap paper, and, too, slippery even for wiping your butt. Shiyong clarified that, to be precise, it should be gold and treasures and such. He explained that his business was trading supplies for these things. Both Yun and Ruo stood up and looked at each other. Yun then walked towards the table and pulled out a gold bar that she had been using to balance the table. She asked Shiyong if he thought this would work. There were 3 gold bars. He thought the texture is gold. She then stated that she remembered it was called that, but it was basically worthless now. She explained she had used it to prop up the table leg because it was perfectly square. She then asked if this was what he considered gold and treasures. If so, she had 5 or 6 more pieces on the table over there. Shiyong was shocked to see them. She told him to take them all as they were useless to us anyways. He then found himself sitting in front of 7 or 8 gold bars on his table. Shiyong slept soundly, dreaming of his newfound wealth. He was muttering about being rich and having money now, but just then Ruo, the younger sister, approached him, a knife in hand, poised to stab him. Yun, the elder sister, swiftly intervened, grabbing Ruo's arm and asking what she was doing. Ruo declared that if they killed him now, all his supplies would be theirs. Yun argued against it, insisting that Shiyong had saved them and they wouldn't be alive if he hadn't given them the penicillin. She questioned how they could repay kindness with malice. Ruo countered, reminding Yun of how they had ended up in this mess to begin with. She recounted how Zhong, a scoundrel, had initially won them over by putting on an act, only to sell them out to Faction 17. They had lost their entire base, with dozens of people slaughtered, and only the 2 of them had barely made it out alive. Ruo confessed that if Yun hadn't stopped her in the bathroom earlier that day, she would have already dug Shiyong's eyes out. Yun insisted that Shiyong was not like that traitor. She pointed out that he had a reason to waste penicillin on them when they were nearly dead. She emphasized that their entire fortune wouldn't be enough to buy a box of penicillin, yet Shiyong had still given them the precious medicine. She concluded that he was not a bad person. Just then, Shiyong woke up and asked what the 2 of them were doing and what was with the silent mumbling. Ruo quickly got on his legs and, looking innocent, told him that she wanted to sleep with him. Shiyong was shocked, asking why she hadn't said so earlier, lamenting that they had wasted a ton of precious time. Yun then stated that she wanted to sleep with him too. Shiyong, surprised again, agreed, but insisted on sleeping in the middle. He found himself sleeping between the 2 beauties. Ruo subtly reached for her knife, intending to harm him, but Yun swiftly kicked the knife away, resulting in Yun landing above Shiyong in an awkward position. Shiyong inquired what Yun was trying to do, reminding her they couldn't do anything with her sister still there. Yun firmly declared that she wanted him to sleep only with her. From then on, she stated, Shur-young would sleep with her too, and she would keep him safe at night. Shur-young conceded, thinking that safety did matter, and accepted her terms. Later, Ro was talking to Shur-young and asked if he was an evolved. Shur-young feigned ignorance, asking what an evolved one was, claiming he was just a regular handsome guy. Ruo then asked how he had escaped from that building. Shur-young asked how she knew. Ruo explained that she had a really sharp nose, and that yesterday, when he came back, she had picked up on his scent from that building. She added that only the strongest, evolved ones could make it out alive from there, implying Shur-young must be pretty awesome too. Shur-young, quickly concocting a story, replied that he had just gotten lost yesterday, but luckily didn't run into many zombies, and he had his handgun to thank for his narrow escape. He thought to himself, who would believe I had the primordial emperor system? Let's make something up. Yun then remarked that his marksmanship wasn't bad and asked if he wanted to go practice at the shooting range. At the shooting range, Yun questioned his aim, asking if he was sure he was aiming at the target or if he had some kind of eye problem. She then had enough and declared that his grip on the gun was all wrong and she would show him how it was done. She moved closer to him, held his hands, and instructed him on how to target with a gun. Yun instructed Shur-young to relax his arm, advising him not to tense his body too much, to calm down, and to aim at the target. She then commanded, fire, and he hit the target. Just then, the system notified him, long-range weapon mastery skill activated. Upgrade now. Shur-young thought that he could still activate more skills, but he had used up all his zombie core power. He had only the last one he got from the mutated zombie remains, which gave him 2 skill points, and a dimensional shift cost 1 point. He needed to save them for shifting back to reality, as he had no spare skill points left to upgrade to new skills. He then asked Yun if she knew where he could buy zombie cores. She asked if he meant a marketplace, and he confirmed. She told him there was a small trading post about 2 kilometers from here where he could exchange zombie cores. He expressed his delight and suggested they go there. They journeyed to the marketplace, where an old guard, sitting with a gun pointed at them, simply said, "Come in." Yun casually greeted Old Garlic, teasing him for being too jumpy and still worried about zombies here. The old man retorted that he was scared of humans, not zombies. He then asked what they wanted to trade. Shur-young inquired if he had any zombie cores. The old man asked what his offer was. Shur-young placed several food packages of spaghetti on the table. The old man exclaimed, "Holy smokes! This is some good stuff. Early 21st century fresh meat cans. These things are really rare these days." Shur-young then stopped him, stating, "Wait up. First, the zombie cores." The old man remarked that Shur-young might look silly, but he was pretty sharp. Shur-young reminded him that he had just said it himself. It's people, not zombies, that are scary. I need to be cautious. The old man agreed and said he would get the stuff out. He presented Shur-young with the zombie cores, stating, "Here, these are all the zombie cores I have, a total of 11. Market price-wise, a single mutated meat can get you 2 zombie cores. Your goods are high quality, so elsewhere, you get 4 zombie cores for a can of fresh meat. You can trade 3 cans per zombie core, but we only got 11, so I am 1 short on you. I'll make up the missing zombie core later. How does that sound?" Shur-young declined the offer for him to make up the missing core and added that he was going to throw in another can for him, but he had to request. The old man asked what it was. Shur-young then showed him a piece of gold and asked him to take a close look and if he recognized it. The old man admitted he was no expert, but it certainly didn't look like gold to him. Shur-young affirmed, "Nailed it. You got a keen eye. Guess I was right to see you. The extra cans are your commission, brother. You seem well connected. Help me gather metals of this kind, and I'll trade cans for whatever you collect. What do you think?" The old man said his deal sounded pretty sweet, but questioned why Shur-young needed this gold, as it wasn't worth a lot. Shur-young dismissed his concern, telling him to find as much of this stuff as he could, emphasizing, "The more, the merrier. I'll take all you've got." Shur-young then powered up the system with the zombie cores, and he had a total of 4 points. He commanded, "Upgrade long-range weapon mastery 4 times." He then loaded the gun and shot at the target, hitting all of them. He declared he had finally become a more like shooter. Shur-young then announced he had just activated a new effect called Doom Bullet, remarking it sounded pretty bad. He immediately wanted to try shooting one, but the system informed him that the Doom Bullet could only be used for free once a day. Shur-young complained about the system's stinginess and asked how to use the Doom Bullet then. The system instructed him to simply shout, "Doom bullet, fire," and launch it. Shuyong found this ridiculous, asking if the system was kidding him and if it thought he was some kind of superhero needing to shout out his moves, calling it too embarrassing. The system retorted by asking if all humans didn't like to yell out their moves before making them, claiming it was according to your customs. Shuyong snapped back, asking the artificial damn bit if it had decided to be considerate now, recalling that when he was about to fall to his death earlier, he hadn't seen it rushing to help. He then looked around, gathered his confidence, took out the gun, and shouted, "Doom bullet, fire." He fired the bullet. Both girls behind him watched in awe as the bullet hit the building across. Shuyong remarked, "How come there is no reaction when it hits the building across? Isn't this just a regular bullet?" He concluded he needed to do more research on this bullet. The girls quickly turned around, going about their regular tasks. Yun, the elder sister, suggested they just leave things there and clear out a room for Shuyong. Just then, Shuyong asked if she could actually carry all that stuff and offered to help her with it. The elder sister scoffed, stating, "What? It's not heavy at all. This weight is nothing for us evolvers." Shuyong was intrigued, repeating, "Evolvers? This is incredible." She confirmed, stating that ordinary survivors couldn't compare to them, but very few people managed to evolve successfully. Shuyong then asked if there were any requirements to become an evolver and if he had a chance to become one. She asked if he wanted to become an evolver and explained there were 3 ways to do so. The first way was to get infected with the R virus. As long as one survived without turning into a zombie and successfully developed their talent, they had a chance to become an evolver. However, this method was more common in the early stages of the R virus outbreak and was hardly heard of later on. The second method was directly consuming a zombie core. After swallowing it, as long as one didn't bust from it, there was less than a 10% chance of becoming an evolver. The third method was to take an evolution potion. These came in 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3, and she had heard that major organizations even had better evolution potions. Shuyong's eyes lit up. He asked where they could get these potions, declaring he was willing to trade whatever it took. Yun offered to take him to the Earth Construction Alliance's stronghold, explaining they were different from Camp Number 17. They were an organization that only looked at benefits, so he should be able to trade resources for an evolution potion there. Shuyong exclaimed, "Great! Let's set off tomorrow." The next day, Shuyong, with his backpack, glanced at Ruo, the younger sister, and asked Yun if Ruo wasn't coming along with them and why he always felt like she was glaring at him these days. Yun dismissed his concern, stating Ruo was glaring because she had an eye condition. Just then, they reached the outskirts of their base, and there were too many zombies. Yun remarked that it felt like there were more and more zombies near the base and that it looked like it was time to clean up a bit. Meanwhile, back at the shooting range, Ruo angrily muttered about that damn Shuyong and why Yun wouldn't let her kill him. Just then, she saw the building in front of her collapse. She thought, what the heck? How did the building across collapse? It was due to the doom bullet that Shuyong had fired earlier. In the quiet streets, a lone zombie ambled along until it was abruptly struck by a dagger. It was Shuyong and Yun. Yun explained that this was Central Street, known for its particularly high zombie population, and advised against firing a gun unless absolutely necessary. She then bent down and opened a roll-up shutter, revealing a car inside. Shuyong asked if this was also her base. She explained that for safety, she maintained several supply points. She added that it would be best to drive to the Earth Construction Alliance from here, noting it was only a 2.5-hour drive on the highway. Their car sped down the highway, with many zombies hot on their heels. Shuyong pointed out the pursuing zombies. Yun casually replied that no bodies would shake them off soon. She then asked Shuyong if he was sure he wanted to become an evolver, warning him that even the highest grade evolution potion could be lethal. Shuyong admitted he wasn't sure if he should take it, but decided they should buy it first. He thought that the main purpose of this trip to the Earth Construction Alliance was to exchange supplies. He recalled Yun's description of the Earth Construction Alliance as being similar to a guild. He reasoned that since they were outnumbered, there was no guarantee they wouldn't harm them. He decided not to reveal too much in their first deal, aiming to win mutual trust first. Just then, a zombie tugged at his car window, terrifying Yun. She exclaimed that it was a red zombie and wondered how so many had shown up all of a sudden. She urged Shuyong to quickly shut the window down. Shuyong fired gun bullets at the zombie, but the zombies were too fast and dodged his shots. One of the zombies directly broke the car's roof and struck his hand inside. Shuyong shot that zombie. Damn it! Why can't I hit them? am usually dead accurate. He cursed. Yun explained that red zombies instinctively dodged bullets and normal weapons were no use against them. She instructed Shuyong to drive as fast as he could, declaring she would handle them. She then came out of the car to fight the red zombies. They both attacked each other. She swiftly took out her waist blade and cut one zombie in half. As others came towards them, she cut them down too. One of the zombies gripped her leg and threw her from the car. She fell onto the road, with many zombies about to attack her. Just as they were about to lunge, Shuyong appeared and shouted, "Hey, you guys! Don't hurt my bodyguard!" Yun looked at Shuyong, utterly bewildered, questioning how he could have killed those red zombies. She stammered that he had killed them in an instant. Shuyong, still catching his breath, acknowledged it was close, almost not making it. A moment before, when she had fallen from the car, he had emerged, using one of his skills, and with his gun, had banged the zombies straight on their heads, wiping them out. Shuyong then challenged the red zombies. "You can dodge bullets, huh? I'll blast your brains out." "No way you are dodging that." Yun thought, this Shuyong is actually this powerful to wipe out 6 red zombies in such a short time. That's almost at the level of a first-tier revolver. Shuyong then began collecting the zombie cores, declaring, "Jackpot. All zombie cores, time to power up again." He then felt a pang of exhaustion, thinking that his body couldn't handle such high-speed movement after all and that he should probably hit the gym more. He then asked Yun where the zombie cores had gone. Yun quickly urged Shuyong to stop looking and to look around instead. They were surrounded by a fresh wave of zombies. She exclaimed, "Where did suddenly so many zombies come from?" She shook her head, saying she had no idea, and urged him to, "Let's go and drive away." They rushed towards the vehicle. Zombies were attacking them, and Yun instructed Shuyong to save their bullets, as there were too many of them. It was a whole swarm of zombies. Yun accelerated the vehicle, and they drove over the zombies, killing them. Shuyong then asked why the car wasn't moving. Yun explained that the zombies had struck under the car, and too many zombies had now surrounded them. He asked how many bullets they had left. She replied, "Not many left." Shuyong said he only had 10 bullets left. He thought that 10 bullets were nothing against so many zombies and that the only skill he could use now was the Doom Bullet. He asked the system if it had said before that only 1 Doom Bullet per day was free. The system confirmed. He then asked how many Doom Bullets he could buy with his remaining skill points. The system stated that the first-time purchase of Doom Bullets was on an equal skill point basis. He decided to buy 7 Doom Bullets and immediately purchase them. He thought that the remaining 2 skill points were for dimensional shift. If the 8 Doom Bullets didn't work, he could only shift back to the modern era. But then he worried about Yun, thinking she definitely wouldn't be able to escape on her own and would surely die here. Shuyong reassured her not to worry, as the car was very sturdy, and the zombies wouldn't be able to get in for a while. Yun looked at Shuyong, admonishing him for not conserving his bullets, stating that using them all up wouldn't help. She emphasized the importance of saving at least 1 bullet, as it would be very useful for him. Shuyong questioned the utility of a single bullet. Yun explained that she always kept a last bullet, asking if he would want to be eaten alive by zombies. She clarified that this last bullet was for oneself. She somberly added that death is a dime a dozen in this world, and that she was always ready to meet her end, but hoped to die a less painful death, suggesting he keep a last bullet too. Shuyong ignored her advice and fired all 8 Doom Bullets, but there was no reaction at all from the zombies. Just then, it started pouring rain. Yun remarked that it was raining, so they didn't have to worry about running out of water. She added that if they got stuck, they could only hope someone nearby lured the zombies away, but no one could be that kind-hearted. As the rain poured, an awful stench filled the air. Shuyong remarked on the terrible smell. Yun explained that the rain had puffed up the zombies' rotting flesh. She noted that every rainy day brought such a foul stench. She pointed to several buckets on the back of the car, which she had kept there for collecting drinkable water, and remarked that it was really pouring. She hadn't seen it rain this hard in a long time and predicted that if it kept raining like this for another day, they might see something interesting. Shuyong asked what kind of interesting thing she meant. Yun explained that zombies were basically undead and unrotting, but their moisture would be lost, so the zombies they saw now were all shriveled up. However, after they had been soaked in water for a while, their skin would start to swell, at first looking like how they were when they were alive, but this was only temporary. They would continue absorbing water, and their skin would become even more swollen until it reached its tensile limit, and finally burst, but they wouldn't die. They would just become more fascinating in appearance. Yun then abruptly stopped talking, complaining that the stench of decay was making her a bit nauseous. Suddenly, Yun urged Shuyong to look, exclaiming that the zombies had turned back into humans. Shuyong looked at a seemingly human figure and wondered if this was what she looked like when she was alive, noting she seemed about his age. He mused that if she were still alive, if the world were still normal, he asked Yun what she would do. Yun admitted she had never really thought about that. If there were no zombies, if the world were still normal, she would be a pastry chef. She then questioned if that would truly suit her. Shuyong confidently replied that of course, that career would perfectly suit her. He thought to himself that he couldn't leave Yun behind. There had to be a way. He considered that if he rested for another day, maybe he could use his rapid climbing skill to break through the zombie horde. Just then they saw dense lightning. Yun remarked that this area had always been dry and she had never seen weather like this. Then, a blast occurred, and the zombies were wiped out. Outside, the dead bodies of zombies lay strewn across the ground. Shuyong exclaimed that they were all down, and all the zombies had been struck dead by lightning. Yun suggested they move the bodies and clear a path, otherwise, they wouldn't be able to drive out. Shuyong, looking at the gruesome scene, exclaimed, "Wow, it's sprawling. It's damn." He then sighed in relief, "We survived. Yeah, we made it." The car then approached a shelter. A soldier guard on top of the wall announced a car was coming and reported it to the gatekeeper. Just then, the gatekeeper was resting with two girls in his bed. Someone arrived and urged, "Gatekeeper, sir, wake up. There's a car at the city gate." He woke up with a groan, asking if it wasn't too early for anyone to arrive, and instructed someone to go down and ask. A guard approached the car and demanded, "Hey everyone in the car, get out. Never seen you before. Where are you from? Are you here seeking refuge?" Shuyong quickly clarified, "No, we are traders. Here to exchange goods." The gatekeeper, now present, instructed them to bring the stuff over for him to check if they wanted to trade goods. One of the soldiers brought a food item and handed it to Brother Luo, the gatekeeper, stating, "Brother Luo, these are the goods he wants to trade." Yun saw the soldier open the package and protested, "Hey, we haven't traded the goods yet. Why did you open it already?" Shuyong quickly intervened, assuring the gatekeeper it was fine and that it was just right for you to try out the quality of the product. "Just try it out and I'll see." The gatekeeper, smelling the enticing aroma, said, "You know what's good." He took a bite, savoring it. Others around him asked, "Brother Luo, how's the taste?" He kept eating. Yun also remarked that it should do it, as he had finished the whole can. The gatekeeper lamented that it was gone before I even got a taste, not even getting to savor the flavor. Shuyong quickly offered him another, saying, "No bodies, he got more here. Have another." He gave 4 cans to them. Yun whispered to Shuyong, concerned, that he had already eaten 8 cans and asked if he knew how much they could trade for with 8 cans now. Brother Luo, now full, declared, "Not bad. I'm about 30% full. I'll let you guys enjoy the rest." He said to his members. They immediately snatched the remaining cans and fought for them. He then commented that those cans tasted pretty good and promised to report to the Lord for Shuyong. He instructed someone to escort the 2 guests to the waiting area. A guard said, "Come with me," and led them to a human refugee shelter. Someone inside remarked, "Check out the new stuff. This stuff is top-notch quality." Shuyong asked if all these houses were occupied. The guard confirmed they were, explaining they were refugees sheltered by the city lord, without whom they would have been zombie food 8 years ago. Just then, a man appeared in front of them, beating another person and shouting, "You dare to steal medicine. I'll beat you to death." The person being beaten was a girl, who pleaded, "Stop hitting me. Spare my life. I won't steal again." Shuyong approached the man who was beating the girl, pleading for mercy and asking why he resorted to violence. The man angrily told him to get out of the way, explaining that the girl dared to steal medicine from the warehouse. He emphasized that medicines are rarer and more precious than food, and their unauthorized use was punishable by death. He stated they only dared to use them with the explicit command of the city lord, but this girl had stolen medicines several times. "Luckily, I caught her this time," he declared, demanding, "Now, where is the medicine girl? Hand it over." The guard then told Shuyong and Yun that they, outsiders, need not worry about this matter, as they had their own justice system to punish thieves, instructing them to please keep following me. The man who had been beating the girl then addressed her, "You little girl, come with me. Go to the justice office. Let's see how the head of justice decides to deal with you." The guard informed Shuyong that the city lord was busy today and wouldn't be able to meet with them, so the upstairs was for resting, and he would take them to meet the city lord tomorrow. The next day, an old woman, a grandmother, was asking around, "Have you seen my granddaughter?" A man beside her said he hadn't seen her. The old woman went around the market, repeating her question to various people. One man rudely told her to get lost, stupid old hag, threatening her if she delayed him from going to the mine. But the old lady persisted, describing her granddaughter, who is but a small braid in her brown hair, and how she hadn't come back since last night. She desperately asked if anyone had seen her. Yun murmured that the old lady's granddaughter must be the girl from yesterday. The guard, seemingly confirming this, told Yun not to worry, as someone will notify her. Yun then approached the old lady and gently told her that her granddaughter was taken to the justice office yesterday for stealing medicine and suggested she go there and ask. The old lady cried out, "Xiao Yi has been captured. It's my fault, all because of me. She only stole the medicine to help me. So it's my fault. Arrest me instead. I took the medicine." The guard, hearing this, interrupted, "All right, it's almost time to meet with the Lord. Hurry up." The old lady continued to lament, "The justice office. I need to go to the justice office." Just then, the guard entered the city lord's palace and announced, "Lord Chu Wang, the merchant has arrived." The city lord, a portly man surrounded by two girls, instructed, "Let him in." Yun looked at him and asked, "So, you are Chu Wang?" Shuyong confirmed it was him. The city lord stated that his trading rule was only to exchange goods with people he knew. However, the guard interjected, reminding the city lord that the canned meat Shuyong had brought was really tasty, asking if that was true. Shuyong affirmed, "Indeed. It can make everyone who has tried it love it. Lord, you should have a try too." He gestured to the guard to bring some of the packets towards the city lord and said, "Lord, please enjoy." The city lord opened the canned packet, ate it in one gulp, then grabbed all of them at once and devoured them. He exclaimed, "This is so delicious. This is 1,000,000 times better than the beast meat I usually eat. How many more of these cans do you have? I want them all. I'll trade anything for them." Shuyong expressed his delight, saying, "Fantastic. Lord, you really know your stuff." The city lord then asked what goods Shuyong would like to trade for. Shuyong stated he wanted to trade for zombie cores, an evolution potion, and some gold. The city lord was confused by the mention of gold. Just then, the guard explained what the gold was. The city lord then chuckled, "And here I was wondering what it was. Turns out it's that thing. We can trade. He got plenty of gold." The city lord instructed the guards to take the merchant down to tally the supplies and give him the items he wished to trade. A guard affirmed the order. Just then Shuang interjected, telling the city lord that he had another request. The city lord inquired about the nature of this request. Shuang explained that a girl had stolen medicine from the warehouse the previous day and had subsequently been arrested by the justice office. He offered to compensate them with triple the amount of the stolen medicine supplies, expressing his hope that they would release her. The city lord questioned whether this was true, and the guard confirmed that it was, adding that the thief had already been locked up by Chief Justice Kichi. The city lord then stated that since Shuang was offering triple compensation, they would not suffer any loss. He further informed Shuang that after the raid, his guards would escort him to the justice office to secure the girl's release. Shuang expressed his gratitude to the city lord. The trade then proceeded, and the guard provided Shuang with the supplies: 10 kilograms of gold, 100 zombie corpses, and 2 evolution portions. Shuang mentally noted that with 100 zombie corpses, he could upgrade numerous skills. He acknowledged that the quantity was correct, but, more importantly, he needed to find a day to return to the modern world and sell the gold. He had no idea how much he would sell it for, but he was certain he would make a fortune this time. The guard advised Shuang to hold on to the release order from the city lord, stating that it would suffice to take him to the justice office. Shuang replied that it was acceptable but inquired about Xiao, wondering if she was not supposed to wait for him at the main gate. Just then, Shuang observed many people gathered in one place. He questioned why there were so many people at the justice office entrance. The guard sternly commanded everyone to scram and get out of his way, questioning their presence and what they were doing crowding there. He remarked that it seemed the mine was not providing them with enough work, and he would propose to the city hall the following day to double their workload. Everyone scattered. Just then, another person arrived and told the guard to let them be, explaining that he was the one who had called them there. He stated that it was for the people to witness the consequences of stealing from the city. He then addressed the assembled crowd, telling them to get a good look, and reminded them that they survived in the post-apocalyptic world only because the city lord allowed it, emphasizing that everything in the city belonged to the city lord. The girl was hanging, dead. The person continued, stating that unauthorized actions were akin to defying those in authority, and defying authority was a capital offense. A grandmother was crying. Shuang crumpled the paper in his hand and exclaimed that it was some kind of joke. He muttered about the bastard, questioning what he thought a human life was worth, asserting that the girl had only stolen the medicine to treat her family. The man then addressed Shuang, remarking that he had not seen him before and surmising that he must be the merchant who had come to trade. He then seized Shuang's hand and twisted it, and Shuang's bone cracked. The man then told Shuang that since he was from an outside city, he would forgive him this time. The guard, accompanying Shuang, informed Chief Justice Qiqi that Shuang was indeed a new merchant from outside the city and requested forgiveness for any mistakes. The man, Chief Justice Qiqi, then inquired if Xiao had accompanied Shuang to trade. Shuang asked what had happened. Chief Justice Qiqi explained that Xiao had been captured while attempting to break into the prison, adding that she seemed extremely angry about him killing the girl. He expressed uncertainty about whether to release her or execute her directly. The guard urged Chief Justice Qiqi to calm down, emphasizing that the city lord was very fond of these two and that killing them would mean the city lord would never again taste their delicious flesh. He suggested simply keeping them alive. Just then, Shuang powered up his system with all the zombie codes he possessed and asked how many times he could upgrade with his current skill points. The system replied that he could upgrade 3 levels. Shuang immediately confirmed the upgrade. He had now reached level 7, and the next upgrade would require 128 skill points. A physical damage detection then indicated the need for skill points to recover, and Shuang confirmed the recovery of his broken hand. People in the front speculated that Shuang would definitely kill Chief Justice Qiqi for real if he could capture Xiao so easily, concluding that his strength must be formidable. Shuang mentally acknowledged their thoughts and further considered that a doom bullet might take Chief Justice Qiqi down, but it might also hurt the people around. He decided that the best course of action was to use extreme speed to escape with Xiao. Having leveled up 3 times, he believed he should be able to hold on until they escaped. He activated extreme speed climbing. He ran past the 2 guards who were holding Xiao and in front of Chief Justice Qiqi, then climbed the building, announcing his intention to make a grand escape in one go. He then exclaimed that his climbing skill could last longer than before. Just then, Xiao told Shuang not to worry and suggested they escape first. After they had covered a significant distance, Shuang declared that he was maxed out and at this distance, they should not be able to catch up. He commented on how close they had come. Xiao apologized, telling Shuang that she had dragged him into this. Shuang reassured her, telling her not to say that she had done nothing wrong, taking all the blame on himself for being there and for not taking action earlier. Xiao expressed her surprise at how quickly they had acted, lamenting her own weakness and wishing she could have held them off longer. Shuang inquired if that was Chief Justice Qiqi. Xiao confirmed it, stating that he must be a level 5 evolver. Shuang asked if a level 5 evolver was considered very powerful. Xiao explained that evolvers always started from level 1 and that breaking through each level was very difficult, recounting that it had taken her 10 years just to break through to level 3. She further elaborated that every faction had its own high-level evolver to protect its safety, but level 5 evolvers were quite rare. Some even believed there were level 10 warriors who could easily dispatch a safety with a single move. Shuang mused that even in the apocalypse, there were still incredibly strong people, and he thought that he had been too naive in believing he could dominate the world with his system. Just then, Chief Justice Qiqi reached them. Xiao shouted a warning. Chief Justice Qiqi then struck Shuang with a knee strike. Shuang was hurt, but Chief Justice Qiqi continued to beat him severely. Xiao shouted his name, but Chief Justice Qiqi retorted, asking if he had said they could leave, holding Shuang's head between his hands. Then, Chief Justice Qiqi left Shuang on the floor. Xiao was about to attack him, but with a single punch, he forced her to retreat and then grabbed her neck. Xiao told him to let her go, but Shuang then drank the evolution portion he had. He was in severe pain. Xiao questioned why he drank the evolution portion. Shuang did not respond, but he laughed through the pain. Chief Justice Qiqi remarked that it was like watching a dying bug making its last desperate struggle and wondered if Shuang would rather die from self-destruction than submit to him, finding it quite amusing. Xiao was enraged. Shuang's eyes turned red, and he experienced a flashback to his past. In the memory, someone asked Shuang why he always had to fight, reminding him that the teachers kept telling him to get along with his classmates. Shuang retorted that he did not want to, and if they bullied him, he would hit back. The teacher then slapped him. Later at home, his father reprimanded him for continuing to fight at school, asking if he dismissed his words as empty, and complaining that Shuang was embarrassing him by saying he was born but never raised properly. In another memory, Shuang's manager told him to stop coming to work from the following day. Shuang asked why, inquiring what he had done wrong. The manager replied that it was common for the boss to ask female staff to drink more and questioned why Shuang always interfered, telling him to mind his own business from then on. In a final memory, Shuang witnessed a man harassing a girl. The girl pleaded with the man to let go of her. The man told her to stay and have some fun with him. Shuang intervened, asking what they were doing. The man told him to beat it and leave them alone. Shuang was beaten very brutally, but he still held onto the man's legs. The man demanded that he let go of him, calling him a mad dog, and decided that they should leave before the cops showed up. The lady thanked Shuang, expressing her appreciation. She noticed that Shuang was tearing up a suit and asked if he had nowhere to stay. She offered him a room for rent in her apartment. Shuang admitted that he was indeed looking for a place and asked about the monthly rent. The lady assured him that it was very cheap. The lady and Shuang went to her home. As Shuang was eating, the memory concluded, and the scene shifted back to the present, where Chief Justice Qiqi was hitting Shuang. Chief Justice Qiqi mockingly remarked that Shuang was like a dead dog and that his evolution seemed to have failed. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Ro was observing Shuang and thought that he was almost lost, trapped in an endless stream of memories. She mused that the probability of her level 2 evolution portion working was too low, and at this rate, it could only go so far. She concluded that the quality this time really wasn't high and she might as well find another one. Ruo reflected that they had tried so many times but still could not succeed, implying that self-destruction might be their fate. Shuang, still immersed in the memories, was talking to the lady. She asked if the food was tasty. He enthusiastically replied that it was delicious and that her cooking was so good she could open a restaurant, adding that he could eat it every day. The lady responded that as long as he wanted to eat, she would make it for him every day. Shuang remained silent for a moment. The lady then mentioned that she had bought a cake from a popular dessert shop that day and encouraged him to try it. Shuang ate it and declared it delicious. Just then an idea came to his mind, and he exclaimed that he wanted to be a pastry chef. The lady asked what was wrong, as Shuang seemed a bit lost in thought. Shuang replied that he thought he might have forgotten something. On the other hand, Chief Justice Qiqi was about to take Xiao, whom he had tied up. Xiao defiantly asked what he was doing and told him to just kill her if that was his intention. Chief Justice Qiqi replied that he would not, explaining that he would be in trouble if he killed all the suppliers the city lord needed. He added that Xiao's face was pretty, and if all else failed, he could always cut her tendons and present her to the city lord as a plaything. Just then, Shuang grabbed Chief Justice Qiqi's hand and leg and stood up. He declared that Chief Justice Qiqi was not going anywhere. Shuang clutched Chief Justice Qiqi's jacket and punched him in the face. Shuang then began to beat Chief Justice Qiqi so brutally that the ground shattered. Chief Justice Qiqi's face was covered in blood. Xiao exclaimed that Shuang had successfully evolved and expressed surprise, having thought he was already dead. Shuang replied that he was not that easy to kill. Just then, Chief Justice pierced his hand straight through Shuang's chest. Xiao was shocked by what happened. Shuang, however, calmly stated, "Well done, the evolution was a success." It was Chief Justice Qiqi who uttered these last words, confirming the success of Shuang's evolution even as he was being killed. Chief Justice Qiqi, despite being impaled, declared that even if Shuang had successfully evolved, he was merely a level 1 evolver and questioned if Shuang truly believed that was sufficient to defeat him. Shuang clenched his teeth, and a surge of energy emanated from his body. Chief Justice Qiqi exclaimed in disbelief, questioning how that was possible, recognizing it as a golden abyssal physique, something only a level 10 evolver would possess. Just then, Chief Justice Qiqi was seen running towards the speed demand gateway, his thoughts racing. He had just seen how Shuang could use the golden abyssal physique, an ability he was certain was indeed the golden abyssal physique, just like one he had witnessed before. Now Xiao, standing there, pointed her finger towards Chief Justice Qiqi and fired an attack. Chief Justice Qiqi was running with the attack just behind him, which appeared massive. It struck Chief Justice Qiqi, and the man was wiped out. Meanwhile, the city lord inquired about the commotion, sensing an intensely powerful wave emanating from 10 miles outside his city. He wondered which powerful figure was passing through the area in Faction 17. His aide responded, "Come." Someone then asked the city lord what was wrong. He answered that the force was wrong. In the climber's location, the lady with Shuang asked him if he felt it. Everyone was shocked by the sheer force that Shuang had released. Xiao urged Shuang to hold on, assuring him that she was going to patch him up in just a second. However, she then exclaimed that the wound was too severe and she couldn't stop the bleeding. But just then, Shuang's body itself stopped the bleeding, and Xiao, filled with relief and urgency, told Shuang that he must hold on and she would take him to the doctor right away. Just then, the city lord came running to the area, noting that the aura had disappeared. He pondered why such a strong evolver would be fighting near his domain and expressed his hope that he hadn't offended them. He reasoned that as a straightforward businessman, it was unlikely he would have provoked any high-level evolvers. About 4 then, at a different location, a gate was violently impacted. The lady approached the door, but someone outside the door impatiently told her to hurry up and open it, then kicked the door open. It was Xiao. The lady exclaimed Zhao's name and told her that she would pay for the broken door. Xiao dismissed the remark, urging her to hurry up and help her save Shuang. Upon examining Shuang's injuries, the doctor expressed his perplexity, remarking on the strangeness of his vital signs. When asked what was wrong, the doctor admitted he couldn't definitively say Shuang was fine, nor could he say he wasn't. He decided to bandage his wounds for now, adding that he had scanned Shuang's organs and discovered a large area of metal material covering his wounded side. The doctor found this peculiar, noting that these metals had effectively saved Shuang's life, and he had never before witnessed a wound heal in such a manner. Xiao then inquired if that meant Shuang was all right, but the doctor reiterated his inability to make a promise due to the sheer strangeness of the situation. Xiao pressed further, asking what exactly was going on, to which the doctor suggested keeping Shuang there for a few days for observation. Just then, the scene shifted to a leader in Group 17, who instructed his underlings to punch him a few times. The underlings, astonished, asked if he was serious, wondering how they could possibly hit him. He insisted, reminding them of how much he had bullied them and asking if they didn't want revenge. He urged them to come and beat him up to let off some steam, assuring them he wouldn't hold it against them. They nodded, and a flurry of punches landed on the boss. The boss, internally, cursed, thinking they had truly hit him hard, but he silently vowed to show them who was boss later. He was then seen walking to a doctor's clinic and knocked on the clinic door. When the doctor came out, he immediately told Dr. Zhao that he was injured again and needed treatment quickly. The doctor took him inside, remarking that it was his 3rd visit that month and he was getting injured too frequently. The man replied that his line of work simply made it easy for him to get hurt. Just then, Xiao emerged from a room and saw the man who had previously threatened and attacked them. She was shocked, wondering how he could possibly be there and whether Faction 17 lacked a medical facility. She realized that if he discovered their presence, he would undoubtedly send people to surround them, and she needed to leave before he could notify his faction. As they were moving towards the doctor's clinic, the doctor informed them that the rooms had patients and directed them to come over so he could dress their wounds. The leader agreed. Just as he entered Zhao's room, she was waking Shuang up. The doctor quickly intervened, stating that Shuang couldn't be moved around right now and instructing them to put him down. Xiao insisted that they had to leave. Just then the leader entered, loaded his revolver, and shot at them. The doctor, aghast, demanded to know what he was doing. The leader explained to the doctor that Xiao and Shuang had killed over a dozen of his brothers, and he had vowed before that he would definitely kill them. Xiao then declared that she had already sent a signal and her faction brothers were nearby, asserting that he couldn't escape. Xiao didn't say anything further but began to run. The leader threatened to skin them alive. The doctor firmly interjected, stating that the leader could not kill people in his clinic as they were his patients. He warned the leader that if he dared touch them, he would never receive his help again. She emphasized her seriousness, asserting that she absolutely would not allow anyone to harm her patients. The leader conceded, saying he wouldn't lay a hand on the doctor's patients. Few more days to hide out in there, assuring them that she would have people block off the area around there, guaranteeing that the moment they stepped out of the clinic would be their end. Shuang found himself in the inner space of his mind. The system congratulated him on evolving into a perfect first-level evolver, stating his talent was energy gathering. Shuang expressed disbelief that he was not dead. The system explained that he had used up 3 years of his lifespan to defeat a 5th-level evolver with energy gathering. Shuang was astonished, questioning what, 3 years of life? The system elaborated that he had unconsciously relied on instinct to activate his energy-gathering talent and defeat a stronger opponent, at the cost of his own life energy. A voice then echoed Shuang's thoughts, remarking that they had underestimated him, never thinking he would evolve into a perfect evolver through sheer willpower. Shuang demanded to know who was speaking. The voice quoted an old human saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." It further explained that his evolution would unlock more functions in the system and advised him to use them well. Shuang reiterated his question, demanding to know who the voice was and why it had given him the system. The voice replied, expressing hope that Shuang would make it to the end, promising they would meet when he reached the end of the road. Just then, the doctor was attending to Shuang, marveling at his rapid recovery. He noted that it was truly magical. Shuang's wounds had completely healed in just one day, a speed he had never witnessed, even among evolvers with self-healing abilities. Xiao, observing this, wondered why Shuang hadn't woken up. The doctor explained that logically he should have woken up by now, but perhaps he needed a little stimulation to wake up. Just then, Shuang groaned, asking what they were doing and jokingly calling the doctor a freak. The doctor remarked that Shuang seemed to be recovering well and looked quite spirited. Xiao urged him to get dressed first. Shuang woke up and put on his clothes, then asked if that meant people from Faction 17 had already surrounded the area. Xiao confirmed this. She then explained that she could normally have defeated Zaysum, who was also a third-level evolver, and she was not too bad at fighting. However, she had sustained a critical hit to her internal organs in the last battle, which was why she had played it safe yesterday. Shuang declared that he would go out and take care of these opponents. Xiao offered to go with him, but he declined, telling her to focus on healing. Right now, as he could take them all down by himself. Outside the area, the leader and his members were waiting. One of them suggested to Brother Song that they should just rush in and kill the two. He refused, stating that he had promised Dr. Zhao and instructed them to stay put there. Another member then pointed out that the resource station had announced Dr. Zhao was going to buy medicine that afternoon, suggesting they could use that time to go in and kill them. They reasoned that they could then claim the pair had run off on their own, and Dr. Zhao wouldn't blame him. The leader agreed that the plan worked and decided to proceed. He commanded them to grab their weapons and kill the guy, but to capture the girl alive. Another member questioned why Brother Song was still messing around even after Dr. Zhao had given them the warning. He dismissed the concern, saying it was a different story and that keeping her in the dark would be fine. Just then, the door opened, and Shuang emerged, standing in front of all the men. He declared that there was no need for them to come over as he, Shuang, had come himself. The members cursed, surprised that he dared to show up alone. Song commanded his boys to get him and chop him into pieces. Shuang activated his power and observed that all the other individuals were level 1, with only Song being level 3. After assessing his skills, Shuang calculated his chance of victory at 90%. He activated his powers, and in just a fraction of a second he knocked all of them out. Only Song remained standing because he was a level 3 warrior. Song exclaimed in disbelief, questioning how Shuang had powered up so fast, recalling that the last time he saw him, Shuang was just an ordinary low-level human. Shuang retorted that if he had used weapons, all of them would probably be dead in those few seconds. However, considering that Song hadn't made any moves yesterday, Shuang offered him another chance. To kneel down, start yapping like a dog, and address him as Grandpa. Only then, Shuang stated, might he let him go. The scene shifted, and Shuang went to the merchant with whom he had first traded. The merchant, presenting an assortment of goods, said that this was all he could find for now and asked Shuang to see if it was what he was looking for. Shuang gave the merchant food and affirmed that it was exactly the gold he desired, offering Qian in exchange. The merchant thanked him, and Shuang told him to keep helping him find gold, assuring him there would always be Qian for him. The merchant, puzzled, wondered what the kid needed gold for, noting that the common currency nowadays should be zombie corpses. Shuang then acquired a total of 20 kilograms of gold. Shuang declared that he had struck it rich and announced his intention to trade their supplies, as he needed to bring back more food and water. He asked Xiao if she would be all right outside and urged her to be careful on the road. Just then, he stepped out and activated dimensional shift, then woke up on Earth. Someone was knocking at the door. Shuang asked who it was and what the knocking was about. The lady, who was his landlord, came in, calling his name and hugging him. Shuang, surprised by her anxiety, asked what the rush was. The lady retorted that she should be asking him that, inquiring about his whereabouts these days and noting that he hadn't even answered her calls. Shuang explained that he had been out on some business where there was no cell signal and apologized profusely. The lady expressed her distress, saying that his sudden disappearance had nearly given her a heart attack and that she had almost called the police. She then firmly stated that there would be no more of this and told him to give her a heads up if he was going out. Shuang acknowledged her request and, as an apology, offered her a gift. The landlord initially refused the gift, telling him not to bother spending money as he hardly had any. Shuang, however, reassured her about the money, explaining that he had made quite a bit this time out. He suggested they go buy something she liked, adding that she could pick anything she wanted. The lady whispered to Shuang that the store was quite expensive and suggested they go to another place. Shuang, unconcerned, remarked that all the styles were pretty nice and urged her to quickly pick one she liked. He boasted that he had earned enough money to buy hundreds of these items and would be making even more later on. The lady, astonished, asked how Shuang had managed to earn so much money. Shuang then addressed a salesperson, asking her to show him their best merchandise. The salesperson politely responded, saying, "Certainly, sir, please wait a moment," and then showed him a necklace. Shuang asked the lady to try it on and he tied the necklace on her. The lady, delighted, kissed it and said she really liked it. Shuang expressed his pleasure that she liked it. The lady replied that as long as it was from him, she would love it. Shuang then decided on that one and asked the salesperson to wrap it up for him. The salesperson confirmed. Shuang then told the lady to wait there, saying he was going to run over to the bank and deposit some items real quick and would be right back. He then went to a shop and inquired if they bought gold there. The sales lady asked how many grams he would like to sell. Just then Shuang showed them the bag. It contained so much gold that the manager came running, addressing him by name and apologizing for the wait. Shuang said it was okay. The manager then asked to see the gold. Shuang replied that it was in the bag and told him to take a look himself. When the manager opened the bag, he was visibly shocked by the gold's shine. Shuang prompted him to test the purity and inquire about the total cash equivalent for the total kilograms. The manager simply told him to sign there, and he would be all set. The lady inquired of the manager how much money they had paid for those 20 kilograms of gold. The manager revealed that the 20 kilograms of gold, all exceeding 99.6% purity, amounted to a total of 6 million in cash. Shuang returned to the store and found two girls engaged in a dispute. The landlady, his companion, asserted her claim to a necklace. The other girl retorted by asking what she was doing and demanded to be released. The landlady insisted it was her necklace and asked for it back. The other girl then questioned if she had paid for it yet, implying that if she hadn't, it wasn't hers. Shuang inquired about the commotion. The landlady explained that the other girl had snatched the necklace he had given her. Shuang intervened, offering to buy it with gold and producing a piece of gold. He stated that the gold could purchase over a dozen of those necklaces. The lady standing beside the other girl, however, declared that the gold was fake and that since she had laid down the cash, the necklace was now hers. She then instructed the staff to wrap the necklace for her. The staff member apologized, explaining that the necklace had been reserved from the start, so even if she offered money first, they couldn't sell it to her, confirming that the necklace had been sold to the landlady. The other lady, enraged, muttered about the couple and vowed to deal with them later. Later, the landlady and Shuang were walking. The landlady suggested they had done enough and proposed they go to the market to buy groceries for home. Just then Shuang was struck by a can. A group of gang members approached, and one of them identified Shuang. The lady recognized them as a despicable couple. The gang members accused the two brats of stealing his girl's necklace and ordered his underlings to beat them up, asserting they were asking for trouble. The landlady was shocked and terrified by the sudden attack, but then she noticed Shuang standing there, calm. Shuang calmly suggested they proceed to the market. The landlady, bewildered, asked where that group of people had gone. Shuang, feigning ignorance, said he didn't know, perhaps they had gone mad, and urged them to leave. They then went to a shop where the sales lady stated the price was $5.60. Shuang paid and thanked her. Just then, a man arrived and called out the landlady's name, Shuang. Shuang, surprised, asked her uncle what he was doing there and how he knew she was there, suspecting he had put a tracker on her phone. Her uncle then said she had forgotten what she had promised her dad and demanded she come home with him. Shuang interjected, stating that Shuang didn't want to go back with him and told him to leave. Uncle Zhao dismissed Shuang, telling him that he had told him countless times that someone like him was totally unworthy of Shuang. He further explained that Shuang's father was already looking for a suitable fiancé for her, and once found, he would marry her off right away. He reminded Shuang about her dad's past threats, recalling that if she didn't behave, he had somewhere to chop him up and throw him in the river. Shuang, visibly intimidated, said she understood and would head back with him. As she was about to leave, Shuang stopped her, asking if Shuang could come with him if he became rich. Uncle Zhao scoffed, questioning if Shuang meant his current account balance of over 6 million. telling him to stop dreaming and to talk to him when he could make 600 million a year. Shuang, processing the immense figure of 600 million, then declared that it would be 600 million and called out to Shuang, telling her to wait for him, vowing to definitely earn 600 million and take her with him. A group of people was seen discussing something, with one of them asking if the item had been found. The other confirmed its discovery, stating that the Earth Alliance possessed it and demanded 1,000 dark crystals for it. The first person expressed dismay at the exorbitant price, lamenting that all his combined assets barely amounted to that much, feeling as though they were trying to bleed him dry. The other person relayed the Earth Alliance's message. If he couldn't afford it, he should forget it, as there were plenty of other buyers. The first person, despite considering the price outrageous, thought that if he acquired it and gave it to him, he would definitely be willing to cooperate. He reasoned that with his help, not only 1,000 dark crystals, but all the resources of a database would be his. The second man then said he understood and instructed the first to go back and retrieve the item, stating he would take care of things. Just then, Shuang returned to the apocalypse world, announcing his arrival. Xiao exclaimed that they had more supplies than last time. Shuang confirmed, mentioning rice, flour, meat, and milk, all acquired. Xiao, surprised by the quantity of flour, asked why he had brought so much. Shuang explained that it was to make desserts for her, reminding her that she had once expressed a desire to be a pastry chef. Xiao, however, countered that her mission was to protect him and she hardly had time to make desserts. Shuang then gently reminded Xiao that her injuries hadn't healed yet and suggested she stay behind this time to rest up at the base. Ruo then volunteered to go on a business run with him. Shuang expressed that it would be a huge help. Xiao, however, vehemently disagreed, whispering to Ruo and questioning her intentions, asking if she was planning to assassinate Shuang on the road. Ruo feigned offense, asking what Xiao was talking about and if her sister could be that sinister. She explained that she felt embarrassed always taking things for free and wanted to fully cooperate this time. She assured Xiao not to worry about it. Shuang then agreed, stating they would set off tomorrow. The next day, Shuang and Ruo were riding in a jeep. They entered a small, narrow street. Shuang remarked on the confined entrance to the base. Ruo explained that it was easier to defend and harder to attack, also better for preventing both zombies and enemy attacks. Entered the base, and somewhere inside, 2 guards were carrying a large box, which they placed down. The main personage eagerly instructed them to open the treasure so he could have a look. They opened it. The man, however, seemed unimpressed, noting that it was just a stone and felt like an ordinary one, questioning if it could be a fake. Someone quickly interjected, warning not to touch the stick, stating that it was poisonous and even an evolved being would be poisoned and mutate within minutes of contact. They added that even a level 5 evolver could only hold it for a maximum of 15 minutes. The main personage remarked on its high toxicity and understood why he wanted to acquire it. He asked if its authenticity had been verified. The first guard confirmed that it had been verified and tested on non-evolved individuals without any wounds, who mutated immediately upon touching the stick. The first guard acknowledged their good work and expressed how he felt best when they took care of things. Just then, someone arrived and informed the commander that 2 traders had just arrived, wanting to exchange codes. They had a big bag of canned food with them and looked quite wealthy. The commander exclaimed that it was a real lifesaver, admitting he was flat broke. He noted that the money magnet was heading their way and instructed them to roll, declaring it was time to go. Now, with Ruo and Shuang set, Ruo remarked honestly that she and her sister weren't really involved with this joy base at all and that they should have done their research before rolling in there. Shuang, however, stated that he now needed to figure out a way to make money fast. He recalled that Ruo had said the highest level here was only a level 3 evolver, so if he could get them out safely, she shouldn't worry. Just then, the commander ran in, greeting the friends from a distant land and apologizing for keeping them waiting. He mentioned hearing they had brought some great food for trade and asked to see them. Shuang opened the bag and presented its contents, stating that this was everything. The commander saw the cans and expressed his astonishment, declaring that just one of these cans was worth a fortune and that together, the 2 bags must have over 100 cans. He then signaled to a guard, who nodded in understanding. The commander then inquired what they wanted in exchange. Ruo stated they would like zombie corpses, and cool jewels were also fine. Just then, the commander closed the door. Ruo asked why he was closing the door. The commander replied, telling them not to think too much, and that he simply wanted to discuss the price with them properly. The commander immediately ordered his underlings to attack Shuang and Ruo. Ruo, startled, ran back, calling out to Shuang and asking why he was just standing there. Shuang calmly responded by questioning if people in the apocalypse were always like this, stating that he only wanted to conduct business peacefully. Some of the commander's men reached him, but Shuang activated his extreme climbing skill. He thought about how this skill would boost his grip, allowing his fingers to stick easily to solid rocks, and how his legs would gain a massive boost for jumping and moving at incredible speeds. In mere seconds, he knocked out all of the commander's men. Ruo, observing the swift action, thought to herself that Shuang was incredibly powerful. The commander, now terrified and beaten brutally by Shuang, pleaded that it was all a misunderstanding and begged Shuang to stop hitting him, admitting he was wrong. Shuang, looking exasperated, asked why the commander had forced him to do this, stating that he truly didn't like it. The commander, desperate, promised to supply Shuang with what he needed and to trade whatever Shuang wanted directly. Ruo, incredulous, called Shuang an idiot, questioning how he could trust someone who had just tried to kill and rob them, and warned him to be careful as the commander might stab him in the back at any time. Shuang, however, replied that he would continue to trade supplies with the commander. He then explained that he had finally figured it out. In this apocalypse, they were surrounded by wolves in sheep's clothing, but if these individuals knew the consequences of having bad intentions, business would be much easier. The commander, clearly terrified, quickly affirmed that for masters like Shuang, they had nothing but respect and dared not harbor any bad thoughts. The commander then invited Shuang to follow him, promising to show him the supplies for exchange. He led them to the box containing the infected rod. Shuang looked at it dismissively, asking what it was, referring to it as a broken stick, and stating that it wasn't the supply he had requested. The commander, in a desperate attempt to justify it, admitted that he had spent every last penny on this stick and had no choice but to steal to make ends meet, explaining that life had been a real struggle for them. He then began to extol the stick's virtues, claiming it was quite unique, a rare and precious desert item that could greatly enhance damage, and was even said to be capable of defeating high-level foes. He challenged Shuang to pick it up and try it if he didn't believe him. Shuang pondered if it was truly that powerful. Just then, the commander inwardly gloated, thinking that a mere 5-second touch with bare hands would curse Shuang with corpse poison, ensuring his death and confirming Shuang was still too green for this. Shuang was about to grasp the stick but then hesitated and said, "Forget it. You try it first." The commander was shocked and asked what? Shuang reiterated, telling him there was no need for him to try it, and urged the commander to try it himself to see how powerful the stick was. The commander stammered, but Shuang, losing patience, asked what there was to hesitate about and again told him to try it. He then held the stick with a cloth, saying, "Take it," and threw it towards the commander. The commander, visibly panicked, refused, saying, "No, not." Shuang, his voice firm, repeated, "I say it again. Grab the stick with your hand." The commander dropped the stick and fell down. Shuang asked if he was scared already, stating that he knew what the stick was. He reminded the commander that he had given him another chance to cooperate, but he hadn't cherished it, and therefore, Shuang told him not to blame him for what was to come. Ruo urged Shuang to kill him. Shuang grabbed the commander by his neck. The commander pleaded for his life. Shuang, remembering the girl who had been killed and seeing the commander crying to be spared, then recalled Chief Justice Qi's voice in his mind, asking how it felt to hold someone's life in his hands and if it felt good. Shuang let the commander go and walked back, telling Ruo to gather their things as they were leaving. The commander was left coughing on the floor. Ruo, astonished, asked why Shuang hadn't killed him, given that the commander had tried to kill them earlier. She then sarcastically suggested that Shuang didn't want to see him suffer too much, and questioned why he didn't just use poison or cut off his head, proposing that there were plenty of painless ways to kill him. Shuang, in a serious tone, told her to stop talking. He then grabbed the stick with the help of a cloth and stated that he would just take it, considering it compensation for the commander trying to kill him. Ruo, internally, thought that Shuang was a coward, unable to even kill someone, and that his skill was useless, leading her to believe he couldn't protect her sister. Just then, the commander, still recovering, asked if Shuang could save their base. Ruo scoffed, asking if he thought they were some kind of charity. The commander begged them to agree to help, promising that after it was done, they could take all the supplies from the base. He explained that they were at their end and if no one came to help them, the base would be destroyed sooner or later. Ruo, still suspicious, accused him of trying to fool them again, asking if he truly wished to die. The commander vehemently denied it, explaining that to get a level 5 evolver to help them, they had sent countless supplies, but the evolvers still demanded more, leaving them no choice but to resort to robbery. The commander then urged them to follow him, promising that once they saw, they would understand. He led Shuang to a window and pointed outside, asking him to look at the pit and the bodies within it, stating that those were the people killed from their base in just one day. Shuang, shocked by the number, asked who was responsible. The commander explained that they lost dozens of people every day, and it wasn't due to outsiders but their own base leader. To prevent the spread of disease, they had to burn the bodies every day. He warned them that getting close would expose them to the stomach-churning smell of burned meat. Ruo exclaimed, questioning if their leader was crazy, stating that if he killed that many people every day, it wouldn't be long before everyone in their base was dead. The commander confirmed her statement, which was why he had decided to seize power and lock up the leader. Shuang asked if that was why he had spent so much money to find a level 5 evolver to help. The commander confirmed, but added that a single level 5 evolver was not enough. They needed at least 3 together because their leader was a level 7 evolver. On the other hand, the leader was seen killing his own members one after another, who didn't even have time to flinch before their deaths. The leader, acting like a psycho, declared that everyone must die.